Hello everyone and welcome to this Apex Racing TV broadcast of the iRacing Le Mans series. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas for round 3 of the championship. It's been an exciting championship so far at the Nürburgring and Road Atlanta just last week. We're staying in America for this one. And Marco, well, we've got a decent LMP1 field, not so much LMP2, only got four of those HBD cars, but we got a pretty big GT field, so it should be an interesting race.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening everybody, and we are, like you said, still in the USA, but a completely different track. We've seen a lot of problems last week at Road Atlanta, especially when cars were being lapped. I'm not expecting a lot of problems today because the track is much wider, but it's also a track with 3 different sections, basically the fast flowing section at the beginning, the 2 very long straights, and then at the hairpin that brings us to the basically stadium part of the track with all 90 degrees corners left and right. So it's going to make for an interesting race, especially considering the setups that these guys are going to use, because you have to basically reach a compromise and find the best balance for all the 3 parts of the track.
Yeah, for sure. It's a contrasting circuit throughout the lap, you know, after the long straight, twisty sections. So it could be difficult for some of those LMP1 drivers to find their way through the lap traffic in those twisty sections, especially the S's section. We had difficulty last week finding our way through the S's section for the LMP1s. You know, it's not as tight, Marco, but it is still difficult to make a move through there.
Yeah, there you have to be patient. You have to be patient, and you have to think that after that you get 2 straights, 1 medium and 1 extremely long. So on paper it should not be a problem, but we know sometimes you really need to make that pass and you force the issue, and like we've seen last week, that's when the silly stuff can happen.
Yeah, we hope we don't see any of that today, because we really don't want any incidents. Just a nice clean race, really, don't we? Marco,
yeah,
well,
considering that last week we had a car in the woods, an LMP1 launched in the woods, in the forest right next to the track on the shorter straight at Road Atlanta. I am hoping for a much calmer lapping by everybody, even though that wasn't a lap car incident, but was it involving, sadly, Alex Simpson, our own Alex Simpson. Was not the car who went into the woods, but yeah, we've seen some crazy stuff. We've seen very talented drivers, for example, like Michele Ricci, get involved in 4 different crashes at Road Atlanta because, again, of the tight quarters. I'm hoping that these drivers have learned from their test experience last week and are a little bit more calm today and try to use their head and see that they have got big straights, wide track, except for those assets like you were talking before.
Yeah, people will obviously realise it's a slightly different track from last week, of course, they're going to know that. But, you know, they've got to be more careful. Obviously from last season, I'd say the LMP1 participation down slightly, so the guys who really know how to drive the car are now in the car, and we've got everyone at GTE drivers just sort of need to be patient, letting them through. Don't let through most of the LMP1 drivers. They want you to hold your line, because otherwise it just causes issues, doesn't it, Marco?
Yeah, I am looking at the field, and like you said, it's a really big important field for the SOF for the LMP1s, but I'm seeing, and of course not a given, but just talking for experience, I'm seeing a couple of LMP1s and 1 LMP2 with a very high car number, and I hope that this doesn't mean, because what this usually means is that some of these cars can end up being involved speed-wise with the class little bit slower than them. It's not what I'm it's not a 100% given, but it's something that we should take a look throughout the course of the race. Because these cars are so fast, the LMP1 especially, but are also so difficult to get it right. And sometimes you know, you are trying to overdrive the car, and what this makes is that maybe the HVDs or sometimes even the GTs in some part of the tracks are a little bit faster. That can cause some problems. And qualifying, I think, is coming to a close.
Yeah, indeed it is. And Patrick Wolf has taken your pole position in the LMP1 field with Stetson a 1:41.3. Tom Michael Moore just behind him. Stetson a 41.4. Daniel Benefield lines up just behind him. That's the top three. Do you want to go through the top three in the LMP2 field?
Yeah, the LMP2 field, Carlo Labate on pole position, Antti Levoska is in second, and Jesper Dlika is in third. And then we have the GTs.
Yep, GT field. Michel Ricci takes pole position in the GT field, testing a 1:58.1. Just behind him is Radicals Online driver Josh Thompson. Couple of attempts behind him, and 1/10 behind Josh is Kevin Siggy, lining up in P24 overall on the grid. So it won't be long before we start this race. I believe it will be a short pace lap, won't be a full pace lap because of it's a large circuit, so we won't have these drivers are going to know to have to take it easy in the Marco.
Yeah?
Who would you say is the favourite going into this one? Obviously, Patrick Wolf's taken the pole, but first ranked driver Fabrice Cornelius and teammate to Patrick Wolf is starting down in P15. So it looks like he may have just made a mistake in qualifying and unfortunately down there.
Yeah, I am a bit surprised, and you were talking about turn 1, and starting this far behind all the other drivers can cause a problem for him, because what this track does when you go up the hill, it seems like you have space for 7-8 cars, and then you have this tight left-hander, which, yeah, you have a lot of runoff area, but the cars tend to squeeze towards the middle and the left side of the corner, so it's going to be tough for him to get out of there without any major damage. Of course, it's not 100% sure, but yeah, very surprised. Usually Fabrice is the fastest driver on the field together with Patrick, so we will see if he will be able to move up on the field and get close to Patrick and then have another battle for the victory.
I'm sure he will. We know Fabrice is a very talented build, but I'm very sure he will be able to put his right through and, you know, come through the field and maybe snatch a podium. But these guys in the LMP1 aren't no slouch. Right, we're getting off soon. See Fabrice Cornelius' Pure Racing Team car, that Porsche 911 pace car, will be coming in very shortly, as Patrick Wolf will take a hold off the field. Just a moment. It's very close. An ultimate corner now. Michael Moore lines up alongside Wolf, followed by Benefield, Owen, Chiavon, P5. Pace car pulls into the pit lane. Now it's all down to Patrick Wolf when he decides to go. Is he going to go straight out the final corner? And he does. Patrick Wolf has gone. Green flag. And a good start there from Patrick Wolf, as we see a HPD off in the background, Marco.
Yeah. Cars are trying to manage turn 1. The LMP1 field does so, I have to say, successfully and without any major issue. Hopefully this is the same for the other two categories. The LMP2s also get away pretty cleanly, and hopefully the GTs are clean as well. I hate to see talented guys get out. We see a problem maybe for one of the LMP1s. I see some smoke here. Yeah, it's Teda Saganauskas, number 41. You see a lot of smoke coming from the back of his car. Maybe he hit, I'm thinking about some engine problems for his Audi.
Yeah, one of the talking points about this circuit is the fact that if you run over the curbs hard, that it can really punish you and punish your car. And that's he's obviously done that. He's run over a curb and just over-revved the car. And yeah, it's pretty much race over for Tadis there.
Yeah, and now it's also a danger to the other drivers. Of course, he's doing the right thing, staying on the left side and getting out of the way. But when you see a slow car and it's the beginning of the race, you see the GT field, or should I say the Porsche field, because there are a lot of these new beautiful cars, RSRs on the track. Also, of course, we have the Ford and the Ferrari. You're trying to make up positions, but also you are trying to avoid this slow car, and this can cause a little bit of a distraction. Everybody seems to be through cleanly, and in the GT field, Michele Ricci has maintained his first position as Patrick Wolf finishes the first lap of this race. What we haven't told you at the beginning of the race, as we see Ricci now passing an LMP1 with some kind of problem. Yeah, we are expecting a one-stopper for all the categories, with the LMP1s stopping a little bit earlier due to their smaller fuel tank, no tires, and only fuel for all three categories.
Yep, no tyres. I mean, if we see tyres, it'll be a mistake, and the only other thing that drivers would take will be repairs if any are suffered. But Patrick Wolf is your race leader in LMP1, Antti Lavoska in the LMP2 field, and Michel Ricci in the GT field so far. So a pretty clean start from what I can see, apart from obviously Tadis having his issues. But it looks to be a-okay from most of the field.
Yes. Now usually the race settles a little bit, and we see the odd overtake attempt, but what is going to really shake up things is going to be, of course, when the leaders get to the back of the GT pack. Of course, we were talking about damage. These guys are probably done, because in only 1 hour you don't have absolutely the time to get back to and gain the appropriate amount of timing. We see an HPD going slow on the backstretch and getting passed by some of the GT cars. It's Cohen Evans. Yep. And he's of course in 4th position of his category, last. Let's see if he made a mistake, or it's just I think he just made a mistake, because I don't see any damage on his car.
Yeah, probably just maybe ran deep, because these two cars aren't too dissimilar in straight line speed. If we're talking about straight line speed, they're pretty similar. Obviously more downforce in the LMP2 cars, but the Porsches, the Ferraris, the Fords are pretty similar straight line speed to the HPD. So most of the overtaking done. Probably the time gained will be through the car.
Yeah, we also have to remember, the guys at home, that the GTE cars and the LMP1 cars are significantly more recent than the HPD. The HPD is like the old breed of the LMP2 cars, late 2010s, and now we see Evans almost taking out one of the GTE cars. So he was spinning, coming out of turn 1, he saved the car midway through the corner. So what I'm saying is that the GTEs and the LMP1s have a massive downforce and are slightly easier to drive. What I'm saying is that the HPD is a little bit more old school. It's still a prototype, it's still very fast, but it's a little bit more old school. So in some parts of the track you may see the GT cars especially having a bit more downforce, and that's what makes the performance, as you were saying, not that much between these two categories.
Yeah, so that's, the older car, obviously the GT has come out with the updates to the cars. Obviously the HPD just hasn't been updated since. As we can see, we're looking at the newly signed Wiltrigurtha at Thrustmaster Movano, moving from Radicals Online. Is he going to make a move on Rihutska in that pink Porsche? Going to move up a position there for Wilt. Now behind Cedric Nebilsik, as it looks like our leaders in GT are battling Michel Ricci and Josh Thompson. Josh in the Ferrari, Michel in the Porsche. So Italy versus Germany.
The Italian in the Porsche and the German in the Ferrari, I think. Oh no, sorry, I mean Josh Thompson I see. The Italian in the Porsche, that's the strange thing, of course.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that.
No, usually you'd expect to see Michel in the Ferrari, but no, roles switched around today. But the roles haven't switched between Michel and Josh, as Josh Thompson's going to go for a diving move
he's
into
around.
turn one, and he's spun.
Oh, be careful. He's in a very, very odd position. Good decision of hitting the reverse. I don't think there was contact, I just think that Josh overcooked it a little bit, and you see there's a little bump on the inside of that corner that would probably cause his car to lose composure and go around. That was a close call, and now a lot of work to do for Josh.
Yeah, Michel probably didn't really expect Josh to go for that move quite far back, and unfortunately it looks like that we've had our #1 ranked driver, Fabrice Cornelius, has disconnected from the session. Looks like hardware issues, so that's not the first time we've seen that happen to Fabrice this season. We saw it happen to him at the Nürburgring in the final couple of laps of the race, so maybe some issues there for Fabrice.
A race, we remember, he was dominating basically from the beginning, so very, very bad luck for him. Cameras are now on the battle 48 in the LMP1 between Klaus-Dietrich Schulz and Julien Riboulot. Good to see some Audis in the field, even though the Porsche seems to be the preferred choice for LMP1 drivers.
Yeah, generally speaking, the Porsche is the faster of the two cars, but at some tracks the difference is sort of slightly shorter. Is that someone making a mistake just ahead of these two, and is that Tom Michaelmore in the Porsche? He's crabbing by the looks of things on the back straight there,
and
so maybe he's going to contact. Yeah, it must have damage somewhere.
Oh, the car is sideways.
It looks to be some sort of suspension damage to his Porsche 919. He's got to be careful with the car behind. We're going to look at a replay what's happened here. So he's lapping a GTE.
Oh,
he's just been hit by the Ford there. So not really Tom's fault. Tom's lost a huge heap of positions, now puts him at the back of the LMP1 field in P13.
I think game over for him, because he's going to have to the pits. Going to be a mandatory stop for him, because he has, I think he's got a meatball flag with required repairs, because the car is not pointing in the right direction. You can see it looks like a NASCAR qualifying trim car, all pointing sideways, and he's in the pits right now. So I think it's game over for him.
Yeah.
Too bad. We lose one of the protagonists of the race, as Patrick Wolf increases his lead to 4 seconds over Ashley Owen, which now is in P2.
Yeah, good showing for is that Josh Thompson? Is that Josh Thompson in the wall that we can see?
Yes, he is. Wow, from bad to worse for the Ferrari driver, and he's towing back to the pits. I think game over for him as well. We are seeing a lot of top runners going out this early in the race, and he's not happy. We have in our ears his team radio is not happy, and we can see why.
Yeah, just got tapped by the Porsche there. So that's a shame for Josh. Josh was trying to come back after his little incident with Michel Ricci. We're not 100% if there was damage, contact between the two drivers. But Josh now out of the race and is disconnected from the session. So yeah, unfortunate for him, but we're back on the battle in LMP1 for P7. So LMP1 in the pits there.
Yes, Sayandra is in the pits.
Sayandra is in the pits. So a very, very early stop there, Marco.
Yeah, very, very early. A bit surprised, honestly, to see pit stop this early in LMP1. We will see how long he stays in the pits.
Yeah.
Is a regular stop or not?
Yeah, very, very strange. I don't know if he'll be able to make it to the end if he pits out, and that's just a general stop. Usually you'd expect them to go as far as possible, because there's no tyre change, so there's no real benefit to the undercut.
18.4 seconds for him, and he's out, so he should be back on track.
You're on board with Fabian Jungler behind Julian Rouleau, battling for P7 in the LMP1 field. As you can see, we've spoken about traffic. They're just sort of fighting their way through the early stages of traffic now. 15 minutes into this race.
Yeah,
12 minutes even.
The pace of these cars, these LMP1 cars, is amazing. I mean, the GT cars, mind you guys at home, are not slow cars, but these LMP1s are basically rocket ships. In 15 minutes on a long track like this, they are already lapping the cars. So.
Exactly, it's the acceleration that surprises me coming from that hybrid.
Wow!
Fabian has to go off of track. They're risking everything here today. Spoke about being more careful, but these guys are taking no prisoners, risking absolutely everything, and they just don't want to lose time, do they, Mark?
Yeah, I think also, sorry, we have Sayandra crashing now after his pit stop. We were talking about taking risks earlier, well, during the Nürburgring race. See now the replay, let's see what happened here. Whoa, lost the car. And started again.
Yep,
so nothing major. We were talking, sorry, about taking risks and basically, and also taking off tracks to lap cars, and this can add up pretty quickly in a 1 hour race, because you still have only the 17 points limit for your incidents, tracks, etc. So you have to be very wise in spending these incident points, because we are, as you know, 40 minutes away from the end of the race, a little bit more. So you risk finishing the race with like only 1 or 2 incidents to spare, and an off-track or a little contact can end your night in a pretty sad fashion, maybe when you're in a good position to finish on the podium, for example.
Yeah, as we can see, talking about the impact of these LMP1 cars, they're just getting involved in the GT battles, and you know, it's an absolute nightmare sometimes for the GT drivers, but they have to use this to their advantage and try and gain time and hope that the guy behind or in front loses time, because it can really impact races, can't they, the elements?
Yeah, of course, the best thing for everyone is that the LMP1s get away and through the field as fast as possible, but sometimes you are so involved in your battles that maybe you get involved in the cars that are lapping you, you get in front of them, because you have to pay attention to too many things at once, and like I said before, these LMP1s come at you so fast, they can cover especially the ground between the braking zone and the corner, or after the corner with their huge boost. They can cover half a second, 1 second in an instant, and you see right now, once again, some big risks taken by these LMP1 guys. And as we said, I was not in the commentary booth last week, but I can only imagine what could have been for those drivers. I watched the race, of course, but yeah, it was crazy at Atlanta. It's still crazy here, and like we said, the track is a little bit more wider and more modern. We really a testament to the ability of these drivers, but sometimes we have seen it doesn't always turn out well for both the lappers and the lap. Yeah,
but I mean, it's going to get even more interesting next week, where again you can watch it live on Apex Racing TV. We'll be at the night at Spa, so these drivers are going to have to do some races on the Tuesday to get prepared, because night racing isn't going to be easy, and it doesn't happen often on iRacing.
No, also Spa is, I've been there for the 24-hour race in 2016. There's little to none artificial illumination on the track at night. Basically, the only part of the track where there's light is the two pit straights, so the Formula 1 straight and the endurance pit straight going down to Eau Rouge. So you have to use your headlights, and like you said, the night is really dark, especially there's some very tough corners you have to deal with in the middle part of the track, and a lot of problems with the off tracks there as well, which is basically we are having the second and the worst track possible for off tracks back to back in the schedule. The second, the worst is this, of course, but Spa is on a completely different level, and that will come into play once again for the LMP1s, trying to lap cars, and also the usual contact that you have in racing. So these drivers will have to play it very carefully next week at Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be a very interesting race. I was on board with Frank Kern of Apex Racing UK, trying to get past Fabian Jungluff in the Audi. Frank in the Porsche 919, as we said, the favoured of the two LMP1s, and they're getting ever so close, and Frank's going to pull to the inside, and Fabian just sort of seems to let him through. Not easily, but it didn't look like a difficult move there for Kern.
Yeah, I was sure they were going to make contact at some point. Cooler heads prevailed, luckily, but you see how fast these cars can close up a distance, even between themselves, because of course you can use the boost basically at your own discretion. So, and now we see Amal Younes getting very close to Fabian, trying to make another pass. Car number 25, we see in the classic Porsche colors, going up the hill.
Too far to make a move. But again, it's going to be essentially until the long back straight here at COTA before you can make another move, because it's near impossible, unless someone makes a mistake through the S's, to make a move. I mean, it's just too risky.
Yeah, and also when you make a mistake, you have to be very careful where and when you rejoin the track, because when you go off there, you go off usually at a high speed, especially with all the downforce cars have right now. But yeah, then you get here, and the two guys are, you get this shorter straight, left-hand corner, and then you have the longest straight on the track, and here is where you can make up your ground. The classic Hermann Tilke long straight and a hairpin combination that we've seen basically all over the Formula 1 calendar.
Yeah, essentially that's what we've seen. We haven't got all of them in iRacing, but we've got a couple, and COTA is one of them. One of those Hermann Tilke designed circuits with that long back straight, a prominent feature on his designs, such as Baku and India, Korea, just to name a couple. Amal Younes is all over the back, Fabian Jungluff, and just Fabian has sort of just dropped off since Frank Kern got past him.
Yeah, trying to line up a move. Let's see. The final section of the track is pretty much follow the car in front of you, because you have only what are basically 90 degrees corners, and then here you can maybe use some of your speed to get a good run into turn 1. Not always easy to pass here.
No, I mean there's a very big, quite a steep incline into turn 1. Turn 1 is essentially blind if you make a move. You can't actually see the apex. So these drivers have just got to sort of judge it as and when they can, if they're close enough to make a move.
And we've seen Amal lose a little bit of ground there. Now we see Merin van Dorn. I think this is a replay. Beautiful Tequila Patron colors, classic colors. See in the IMSA Championship on the Nissan. We are live, sorry, it's not a replay. We see in a P2 car, it's Carlo Labati. Carlo Labati was second in class, the pole sitter, going in the runoff area, grass, losing one position, now he's in P3.
Yep, P3 for the Thrustmaster Movano driver, who's just trying to get past that GTE there and gets ever so close. Loses a bit of time and gets hit by the Porsche. So that's very unlucky for Carlo Labati there. But again, it's just, we were talking about traffic, and it's just one of the things you've got to manage about being careful. As sometimes, you know, drivers don't know you're there and might be in your blind spot.
And Carlo is a driver with amazing experience. Just think about how much I am old, and maybe how much he is old, but how much experience he has. We were racing together online in Grand Prix Legends back in 2002, so he knows what he's doing. He has become one of the best drivers on iRacing, even having a pro license, while I remained a terrible driver. But yeah, you see, he's got almost 20 years of experience, and even he was caught out by the traffic problem in this multi-class racing.
But very small LMP2 field here today. Another Audi in Klaus Dietrich Schultz. Is he going to get past? Is that Eunice trying to get past? Is that Syandra as well, looking for a move, ever so close. So, sort of falling back this lap. Marco, maybe a bit of an issue somewhere?
Yeah, I see he lost position to two cars, basically. He was looking pretty comfortable where he was before. We've seen this battle for what was basically P7, P8 go on for the majority of this race. As we are getting closer and closer to the 30-minute mark, as we see Youngblood sliding in the corner, we are getting closer and closer to the regular LMP1 stops.
Yeah, as we said at the start, the LMP1s have a slightly smaller fuel tank. Well, yeah, smaller fuel tank than the GTEs, which obviously forces an earlier pit stop for those cars. So when we start to see the LMP1 cars in, and once they finish, the GTEs, it won't be long before the GTEs start coming, and the LMP2s sort of fit in the middle of the two.
Exactly, and like you said, the strategy basically here is get in as late as possible, because there's really no advantage in taking tires and so doing an undercut. What could be useful and could make you change strategy is that maybe maybe you've got a spotter, or you've done your calculations right before, and you know that by stopping maybe 1 or 2 laps earlier you can get some free track, which is of course very important, and that is what can help you jump the car in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to these Le Mans Series races, the sprint races, not the endurance races, it's all about hopefully coming out in clear air, no traffic around. If you have someone spotting for you, that's sort of the best way you'll be able to, but other than that, it's just about pure luck. You can't really judge that, really, when you're coming in a lap, because if someone's 30 seconds behind, and you're in an LMP1, they're a GT, obviously it's going to take them a lot longer to get there than just a 30 second.
Yeah, we can also explain to the guys at home that these guys are not changing tires for 2 reasons. The first reason, of course, is that it takes a lot of time and they don't have to put that much fuel in the car to finish the race. And second, that in real life, these tires are made to last for 2 to 3 stints, basically. So you still, even if you were to change tires in a race like this, you wouldn't be able to make up the time lost by the performance that you get with fresher tires. So it's a lose-lose situation, and they just keep the tires that they have because they are good enough to finish the job. As we see, the leader of the LMP1 lapping the leader of the GT, the leaders GT class. We have a nice battle for P2, I think, in the GT class.
Yeah, currently Michel Ricci is leading, and that's Will Tregertha off at turn 12, coming into the stadium section. See that massive grandstand on your left, and doesn't seem like Will's lost any positions, but he's now under threat from Marie Schuka, battling with Cedric Nebelsiek. But Michel is currently leading this field, part of your team, Marco. So I bet you're very happy with him at the moment.
Yeah, of course he has to finish the race. He had a terrible race in Road Atlanta. And also, I'm happy to see that the Porsche is getting better. We saw the Porsche basically was the third best car in the Nürburgring race. And Michele, being a Porsche Cup driver on iRacing, he decided to take the big step forward this season in the GT. And the two cars may look similar on the outside, but they are completely different on the inside and how they work. And it takes some time to get used to this. But we see here at Circuit of the Americas, the Porsche is definitely the car to have in the GT field.
Yeah, I don't think it's just so much about the hype anymore, especially around this track in the strength of field race. It definitely seems to be the fast. Essentially, the majority of the top guys, as you see, Cedric Nebelseek in the background in that Team RSO car is also in a Porsche, and we saw Wilter Gerfer just behind him in a Porsche, and Marie is also in a Porsche. So Porsche is essentially dominating this today. The only sort of top driver we've seen been near the top in this race was Josh Thompson in his Radicals Online Ferrari, but obviously he had his incident after spinning with Michel Ricci and having that incident with another back-end GTE. So unfortunate for Josh there, but that's racing, I guess.
Yeah, is Patrick Wolf alright? Because I see him losing a little bit of time on the timing screen.
Yeah, he's fine. Maybe just lost a bit of time behind the GTE, unless he had some contact.
That was closer.
Patrick using his reflexes there to make sure he doesn't hit into the back end of that GTE car, and that's really not what he would have wanted if he did.
Maybe the system recorded a contact there because I saw a crash notification on my timing screen, but yeah, I think it was minimal and he was able to avoid any major damage there. I see, you have to be so quick, your reflex. Because even when you get a 7-second lead, basically you risk losing everything, and these cars are so sensible to damage. I think all the cars in the field are very aero dependent, especially on the floor, front and on the back, so you get contact there and basically you a massive amount of downforce, especially in the GT with the big diffuser they have, especially the Porsche, but not only the Porsche. So you really don't want to get hit, especially from behind.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue, especially on a track like this where straight line speed is very key. And again, if you lose that aero, you're going to lose time in that tight and twisty section of both Sector 1 and Sector 3. And on that straight, you're going to lose time because you just won't be able to gain even in the slipstream. You'll just essentially match the car ahead, and you'll either stay in your position or you'll just lose time, won't you, Marco?
Yeah, and you need the downforce to get through the first part of the track, and of course you need to be faster in the final part of the track, and you don't want to get any sort of an unnecessary drag when you are in the two long straights in the middle part of the track. So aero damage is terrible here, and usually, just like the tires, when you go and take the pits, if the damage is repairable, usually you need too much time to get it fixed, and it's going to basically ruin your race. It's not an endurance race when you have 6 hours and you can maybe get away with a 1 minute pit stop, for example. If you have the pace, you can close the gap back and get the position back. Here it's not like that. You have to be fast and clean. See, again, Fabian Junggut, I think one of the protagonists of this race today, is always on camera, and for good reasons, providing us good entertainment for the midfield of the upper midfield of the LMP1 class.
Yeah, he's been battling away with Julien Riboulou, Frank Kern and Amel Younes all race long. Whether it's been just one or two, or all of them at once, he always wants to be on camera in his Audi. Chasing Frank Kern at the moment of Apex Racing UK. Just getting held up slightly by a couple of GTEs. Not going to help Frank, but you can see the advantages of the Porsche. It just seems to get such a bigger boost off the off the corner acceleration-wise, all ever so close to that LMP1 Fabian.
Yeah, very, very close there. Now they are trying to get to the leader of GT field by the end of the backstretch.
Still going to be chasing Frank, and Mal Yunus is just behind him. So, you know, nothing really to split these guys. And I mean, maybe they might put different amounts of fuel at the stop. And again, this race could be sort of won and lost in the midfield, you know, on pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to, of course, there's a fueling problem. You can make wrong calculations. We know most of these drivers have spotters or use software that do the calculation for you. I could never race at doing calculations by hand or by my head, but also you have to be very clean. You have to get on your pit box and stop there, not get any speeding penalties, God forbid, or your race is completely ruined. As we see, the chasing pack in the GT field is getting is getting traffic in unfavorable positions compared to Michele Ricci, and we see a little bit of damage, I think, on the number 3 Porsche here, on the front right of the car, I see. But it was a very, very close battle before, and now Michele has been able to pull a gap of a couple of seconds from the guys behind him.
Indeed he has.
Of course, you want to get lapped in the long straights, so you don't have to lift or to make way for the prototypes. Sometimes you get traffic as Cedric locks, and Will Tregurta is right back behind him. We saw Will having a little bit of a problem a couple of laps ago going into the runoff area, and now he's back and he's going to fight for the second position.
He is indeed. Now should be the time where we're seeing some LMP1 pit stops. We're around 35 minutes into the race, 26 to go. Expect to see your leaders in very soon. We can still see Will Tregurta and Cedric Nebelsiek battling away.
And yeah, we see a boatload of P1s in the pits right now. Benefit, Schiavon, Fuller and Ribolo, they are all in.
I said GTs will expecting them to go a lot longer than the LMP1s. Should be what, sort of the final 15 minutes of the race, maybe slightly earlier for some guys. That is Chris Fuller and Julien Riboulot coming out the pits. Porsche and Audi.
Wow, right in the middle of the GT battle, and there's contact! Oh no!
Talking about this earlier, being careful, and maybe Cedric just didn't see the LMP1, maybe a bit of misjudgment from the LMP1 car. Gonna get a replay of it. See, the Porsche just mind his own business. LMP2's gone through. He hasn't expected the LMP1 car to be there, and yet he's just gone round. Made contact with the LMP1 car of Chris Fuller, I believe. That's really not what Cedric Nebelsiek would have wanted. You know, he was in a big battle with Will Tregurta, and that's just a free position for Will essentially now.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have some damage as we see the overall race leader Patrick Wolf in the pits. But yeah, Will had an off before and of course had no damage, but it's going to be different for Cedric because he got hit pretty hard a couple of times.
Yeah, he's lost a heap of time there as well. It's not just damage he's got. He's lost time that he may not be able to gain back. We've only got 25 minutes left, so that'll be very difficult for him to make back up in this time, and he may just have to settle for a lower position.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to make up some ground, but yeah, not a lot of time to go, and I say again, I think he has some major damage on his car. The first hit, it turned him around. The second hit, I think he was hit pretty squarely on the left side by another car, so saw some big smoke, and we see he's driving as fast as he can as Michele Ricci gets in the pits. This is a good time to remind you about the leader lights that you see on the side of all the cars categories. Basically, you can see one light for the class leader, two for the second car in class, and three lights for the third car in that class. So, of course, we have the beautiful overlay, but if you get a little bit confused and lost, you can watch the leader lights and get a quick picture of where each guy is in the top three of the three classes today.
Yeah, we're able to see that where they are, but obviously we know on the display on your screen you can see who is where. Patrick Wolf has now got a massive lead, 40 seconds according to my thing, but I'm guessing that will update as and when Ashley Owen comes in, unless he already has. My bad, he has. Correction, we were talking about the different pit stop times, and Ashley Owen now 1.3 seconds behind Patrick Wolf.
Yeah, and all the LMP1s have pitted, as we saw a very early pit stop for in the GT field for Ricci. Now he's got a lot of cars in front of him. Will Tregurta is in the lead right now, so we see how he's going to play out for all the other GTs. Here he is, Will Tregurta, new leader. Said new signing for Trasmaster Mivano Racing. And of course, a real life driver in the GT4 category with the Netta, for example.
Yeah, Will's very proven, and in both the virtual world and the real life world. Very talented driver. GT cars, proven that once again today. Now leading the GT field as Michele Ricci has come into the pit for his first and only stop.
Also Carlo Labati is in the LMP2 field, and we see also Marie Ruska and Domen Gantar in the pits for the GT class, so the GTs are starting to get their pit stops done. It is Domen Gantar, one of the Euro V8 most popular drivers, and the Euro V8 is back on Apex Racing TV this Saturday, so don't miss it.
Just slots it in ahead of an LMP2. Should get by him soon. He doesn't really want to get held up through this section. I heard a spinning cart. I'm not sure who that was, but I heard that somewhere. Have a look at my timing. Might be Tim Koch. It is. Doesn't seem to have any damage to that car, or any I can see. And he's, yeah, just spun and just avoided the wall.
Getting the reverse in and back on the track.
Back under and away. Losing a bit of time though, but not quite sure if he's just made his stop or not. Have to double check on his lap. Doesn't seem like he's made a stop.
Other GT is getting in, Cedric Nebelsic. We saw him contact sadly in the first corner a few laps ago. He's in. Curtis Hardy is in.
So Cedric had that incident a few laps ago. And now he's back in. He's going to get jumped by Marie Hushka. But he hasn't lost too much time, considering he was just behind Marie just ahead of Marie before that spin. No, he's not too far behind, just a few seconds, maybe sort of 5-6 seconds. And hopefully he can catch up to her and we can have a little battle at the end marker.
Yeah. I see some damage on now on his left side as well. A little bit caved in from the contact, but he is looking good despite the damage. I'm hopeful for a comeback and maybe a fight at the end of the race.
That's an LMP1 off there. That's a slow LMP1. He's just trying to find his way back onto the track, being careful. It's John Beasley in that 2005-6 Renault style livery on that Porsche. Looks very nice, I have to say.
Very classic livery. Beautiful, I have to say, and yeah, looks really good on this LMP1 car.
John currently down P16 overall and is currently the last running LMP1, and he's going to come into the pits. So maybe he hasn't pitted yet, or might have had issues early on in the race. Yeah, they're 3 minute 48 laps, so early on in the race he definitely had issues. Livoska in the LMP2 car, class leader currently.
Yeah, Carlo Labati fought his way back and now he's P2, but he's fighting with Jesper Dlika for that second and third podium spot. I really miss in real life these open cockpit prototypes. They looked really cool to me.
Yeah, definitely. I really like the LMP2 cars of old, but it's all to do with safety regulations. That they've had to change it all. Same with the LMP1s. The LMP1s used to be open cockpit, but back in the early 2000s, but not anymore. The likes of the old Audis. But Carl Labati doing a very good job in P2, having that spin earlier on.
Will Trevurta is in. Kevin Siggy is in. And the top two drivers in the GT right now. And Diogo Melro is in as well. Jan Stange stays out, so he takes the virtual leadership of the GT field right now. See, battle for P2 in the P2 class.
Carlo's going to get back past. Good move there on the outside.
Oh, great racing there at the S's. Very respectful of Jesper to leave him room. But this is far from over, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing this until the end of the race, Marco.
Anti-Levosca, sorry.
Yeah, unless he can pull away.
Anti-Levosca has got a massive lead, almost 20 seconds over Carlo, so pretty comfortable getting the race win. We're
going to get back past. Sorry to cut you off there, Marco. But this is a bit of a ding-dong battle between these two drivers. Yes, but Drulica and Carlo Labate, these drivers fighting away. Drulica leads the way out of these pair currently, but I'm sure that will change once again.
Yeah, he needs to get out of the slipstream on the backstretch, basically, for if he wants to have a chance of gapping Carlo. Otherwise, these two guys are going to battle until the end of the race. As we see once again, Fabian Junggut battling with Amal Younes, still battling now for P6, these two guys. Now in the GT field, Jan Stange is still on the track, and basically together with Alvaro Rabanal they are the only two top runners in the GT field to not have stopped, but we have got less than 10 minutes to go and we see a huge traffic here. Be careful, guys.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing where you can just throw your race away. You don't want that. You know, they've pushed so hard all race, but so clean. You don't want to throw it away in the final stages, just making a risky movement. Fabian and Ferenc battling away once again.
I was getting a little bit thrown off by Fabian, because if you look closely, he's got number 1 on the nose of his car and number 24, which is his race number, so I got a little bit confused more than once, and now finally I solved the riddle. There was something not quite right with his car, and now I get what that is.
Yeah, according to this session he's ranked 24th and he's currently P8 in class, started P10, so he's gained position. Frank Kerner's also gained position, so is Amal Younes. The driver's still within 2 seconds at the moment. So ever so close. And with just over 10 minutes last season, well, of the session even, of the race left.
Yeah, long ways to go in the season. Of course, we will keep you company basically every week from now until mid-September, when the season 3 ends, every Wednesday night. So I think that the pit stop cycles have ended in all 3 classes, so we have the right leaders back in all the 3 categories. Patrick Wolf in the LMP1s, then we have Antti Levoska in the LMP2s and Michele Ricci in the GT.
Closing stages of this race, and we seem to have pretty much 3 outright winners. I don't want to say anything just yet, but they seem to be comfortably in position. But throughout the fields, there are definitely battles going on.
Yeah, this battle for P3 in the GT class, Mariuszka and Kevin Siggy.
Getting very, very close in the braking zone there, Marco. Back of Marie. That is Kevin Siggy.
Comes one of the LMP1s, it's Sayandra, making both passes. And here comes the race leader. See the difference in speed in this shot?
Yeah, the straight line speed is, I mean, everywhere. The car is just so much faster than GTEs. I mean, again, we say this, the GTE is not a slow car, but these LMP1s are just ridiculous, and we've seen proven in real life, if you take all the restrictions off the car, it can go faster than a Formula 1 car, as proven with the Porsche 919 Evo. Not quite with the WEC spec rules, but nonetheless, they are very, very fast cars.
Absolutely. Beat the lap record at Spa-Francorchamps, track will be going next week. And it's not an easy feat, and it shows you what can basically this technology develop on the track and the times it can produce. As we see Curtis Hardy now on board with him. Battling with Ian Stange. The P7 of the GT field, what they are battling for.
So close to him at the moment, but you've got to be careful when making a move. You're into the final stages. You don't want to risk it. We say that he's going to go for the move. Very bold there from Curtis Hardy. Oh, and they're going to make contact. Looks to have got away with it. He'll have some damage to that car, or Curtis, and so will Jan.
That was too close for comfort. Amazing that they didn't crash. Just some minor, I say, door-to-door contact, but we see Curtis car has got a little bit of damage on his right side. And he's flashing his headlights towards Ian. He is not happy. As we see now, one of the LMP1s! Oh no!
Who is that? Is that...
Benefield, I think.
Benefield. Yeah, that's a shame for Benefield there. Yeah, it is. Gonna look to the inside. And then it just looks like Curtis just turns in on him. Then Daniel may be locked up. Can't quite see from that angle.
And you see the perfect example of one mistake leading to another mistake, and if you don't regain your composure quick enough, you are going to get in a lot of trouble in this multi-class racing system.
But is that Curtis ahead of Jan now? Curtis managed to get past Jan somewhere. Maybe Jan's made a mistake.
Well, thought they'd be nice to each other. They weren't.
Nope. It looks like Curtis wanted payback. Yeah, that's what it seems to be like, Marco.
And this is far from over, I think. More prototypes in the way, so they will probably bunch up once again, these two guys here. As we are getting really, really close to the end of the race now.
closing stage. Final 4 minutes of the race. So it won't be long before Patrick Wolf crosses the line for his final lap. Two or three more laps left of this race. But this has been a pretty exciting race, Marco. Had a few incidents, still got to, you know, with the LMP1s and the GTEs. Seen at various times this race.
Once again, Ian has closed on the back of Curtis, so he's going to try it again, maybe in the first corner. Little bit of a lock-up for Curtis there. This gives some room for his opponent to get a good run. Again, two contacts between these two guys in two different occasions, so see what happens in the third time they clash. Wow.
Very, very close. Yeah, these guys really a very, very good move there from Jan, capitalising on Curtis's mistake.
See if he tries a dive bomb going into turn one. He does. Oh.
Yeah, but no, there's an LMP1 between them. That's Chris Fuller, I believe. Curtis now falling back through the traffic. And I still don't think he's going to be happy with Jan Stange.
Flashing his headlights once again. Bit of a mistake from Jan. Blocking his front left. Curtis got a better exit, now he has the tow from the car in front of him. Not close enough to try a pass.
Kevin Siggy. And is that Butchergurfer? Doesn't look like, no, that's Marie.
Now this is the battle for P3, yeah. Kevin Siggy and Marie Rushka fighting for the final podium step in the GT class. Number 21 has got some damage on the front of her car, I think. Yeah.
Another couple of GT cars getting very close is Diogo Melro and Doman Gansart. HPD just behind them there. Gotta be careful of that.
Yeah, not a lot of 4 GTs in the field today. Porsche and the Ferrari. So, oh, there's contact. Antti Levosca, the leader of the P2s. He has a big advantage over the second place car, but hopefully he doesn't have that big of a damage. That was a scary moment for him. He's got 13 seconds over Jesper Drlika, and the seconds are ticking down, so he shouldn't lose the lead of the race. But that was a very, very scary moment.
Yeah, that was very, very close. Him really losing that lead. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have any words. It's just a bit risky, you know, towards the end of a race, go for a move like that. But lost a bit of time. Yes, but now 15 seconds ahead, according to my timing. Carlo Labate, a few seconds behind him. So I mean, he should be fine. White flag should be out now. Patrick Wolf. Where is Patrick Wolf on track? Coming towards the end of the lap, is that?
Yeah, he's in the final section of the racetrack.
Patrick Wolf's going to head into the final corner, and he is going to win this race at the Circuit of the Americas for round 3 of the iRacing Le Mans Series, live here on Apex Racing TV. And Marco, has been a pretty dominant win for the German driver.
Yeah. Pole position, victory, his biggest rival at hardware problems. That doesn't take away a single bit from his amazing victory. And Patrick Wolf gets the win. I think he won also the Nürburgring race we called together 2 weeks ago.
Yep, and Ashley Owen, P2, a pretty comfortable P2, another good 20 seconds ahead of Daniel Beanfield, Australian driver. Coming around the final corner now. And yeah, P3 secured, and P4 will be Ricardo Chievon of Positive Sim Racing. So top 4, Prix and Mal Yunus should be the final in the top final driver in the top 5, but Michael Ricci is going to come around the final corner to win the GTE class. Fantastic win by Michel, and a pretty comfortable win, 8 seconds back to Will Tragerfa in his Thrustmaster Nirvana machine. And in the LMP2 field, Antti Livoska managed to hold on to the win, I believe. Yep, just coming around the final corner now, sorry. And yeah, congratulations to Antti.
I see Mari Ruska in the wall on the front stretch, and Kevin Siggy now shows in P3 on the GT timing.
Yep, yeah, I have that as well. So Marie's made a mistake somewhere in the closing moments of the race, and Kevin Siggy has managed to capitalise on that. But should we go through the top 5 in each class, Marco?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
We'll start off with the LMP1 there. Mentioned this before, but Patrick Wolf dominated the race and the win goes to him. Ashley Owen is P2, 40 seconds behind. Your race leader was third place man Daniel Benefield, and fourth was Positive Sim Racing driver Ricardo Chievon, and Mal Yunus comes home in P5. LMP2, Marco?
We got a win with a big scare towards the end for Antti Livoska. Behind him, Jesper Delica and Carlo Labbati, and the other car in the P2 field, Cohen Evans, finished way behind, 5 laps down from the leader. So some problems for him.
Yeah, and we have Michel Ricci, who won the GT field. Will Tragerfa, real life GT4 driver, managing to prove himself once again in P2. Kevin Siggy capitalised on Marie's misfortune, closing the race. Marie comes home P4. Curtis Hardy is the final man in the top 5 in the GT field. And I mean, we had a couple of guys who had issues: Fabrice Cornelius, Josh Thompson, Tom Michael Moore, and some other guys. But overall, it was a pretty interesting race to watch, Marco.
Yeah. I usually don't like this track, but I think it better suited for multi-class racing, and that a lot of other tracks that on paper are more interesting and have more history and have a better design overall. We saw some good battles, we saw some crazy moments, as multi-class racing always provides us. But in the end, I think that the 3 most deserving drivers won their respective class, and everybody put up a good fight. It was a very entertaining race.
Indeed it was. And looks like we have an interview, Marco. Yep, Jesper Drilica came P2 in the LMP2 field. Jesper, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Yep, so P2 in the LMP2 field, you happy with that result?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that, seeing as my pace wasn't so great through qualifying and practice. And I kind of learned the track as I went along. I watched how Antti and Carlo race their lines through here, and I think I was pretty happy with my traffic management as well. I think that really gave me an advantage. I know Carlo, who finished third, he had some damage later on. I was able to pull out ahead of him because of it. And yeah, and the setup and the car felt fantastic. Is made by Dakota Fripp at craigsetupshop.co.uk. Really good setup. It's stable, but also nice and loose, able to get you around the corners real fast.
Yeah, and you obviously proved that, finishing in P2. And next week we head to Spa. Complete contrast to COTA, and it's going to be at night. Have you driven an iRacing the night before and had experience with that before?
I don't think I've actually driven Spa at night before, but I think that should be very interesting with the traffic management and everything. With the HPD, it should be fun as well, given all the downforce corners and whatnot.
Yep, for sure. And once again, well done, Jesper, and good luck for the rest of the season. And we might see you next week.
All right, thank you, Joseph. Great broadcast, by the way, guys.
Really appreciated, Jesper. Jesper Drillica, your P2 man in LMP2, and Marco, doesn't seem like we have anyone else. So, do you want to close out the broadcast?
Yeah, a lot of shy drivers today, but they were not shy on the track, and that's what's important. Well, I tell you once again, next week we are at Spa-Francorchamps, but the action here on Apex Racing TV never stops. We got BSRTC Pro tomorrow, for example, and like I said, the Euro V8s on Saturday, and a lot of other series. So stay with us, and we will hopefully provide some great entertaining races throughout the week.
Yep, for sure. We've got a good lineup of broadcasts, and once again, this has been Joseph Ringrose, Marco Barbanera, Samuli Kumo on cams. Next week, we'll head to Spa. I believe it will be the same partnership of Sam Fitzpatrick and Ryan Walker, I believe. So stay tuned for that. But once again, thank you guys for watching. This has been Apex Racing TV, broadcasting the iRacing Le Mans series here at COTA, and we'll see you very, very soon.